is self-leadership. When I learned that the theme for today's event is self-leadership, it made me ponder and think. What is self-leadership? For me, self-leadership is about setting your own course, following it, and correcting it along the way so you achieve your goal. But then in our journey in Toastmasters and in life, how does a successful self-leader look like? Setting your goal and achieving it. What does it mean? Is it winning trophies in contests? Maybe it's a leadership positions that we hold. Think, what is successful self-leadership to you? In my journey, I learned that successful leadership is not a trophy or a title. Trophies and titles are the result of achieving a strong self-leadership. Self-leadership is about discovering who you are, your true self. Madam Toastmaster, my dear Toastmasters family, I'd love to share with you my journey in Toastmasters and the 3 self-leadership lessons I've learned along the way. I do have a great hope that these self-leadership lessons will change your life as much as they have helped change mine. But let's start at the beginning, shall we? I joined Toastmasters in 2019. And the reason I joined was because I got married. Now, I know what you think. No, I did not try and escape my wife and go to meetings. I actually like spending time with my wife. Imagine me back then. I was very shy, very introvert. In my wedding, giving a wedding speech. Now, my wife spoke first, and she just finished giving the best speech ever. Now, as I'm sure you know, a wedding is not a contest, but if it was, my wife would win the best prepared wedding speech of the night. Then it was my turn to deliver the speech, and I delivered the most absolutely disastrous and terrible wedding speech in the history of wedding speeches. I delivered a 5 to 7 minute speech in 30 minutes. Hi, everyone. So great to be here. Yeah, terrible. That was me in my wedding. The audience, the guests, they were bored. And it fascinated me. Why has my wife were able to draw the attention from the audience and I bored them to death in my own wedding? Now, with the experience I have today, I know that my wife was very successful because she spoke from her heart. Well, I had a gap between what I felt inside and how I communicated it to the outside. That gap was always a huge personal challenge of mine. For as long as I remember myself, I was always so shy. My wedding speech was the catalyst of me joining Toastmasters. I wanted to reduce that gap between what I feel inside and how I express it outside. That was my challenge, and I needed to master self-leadership to overcome that challenge, to reduce that gap, and to communicate more effectively. So, what did I do? I Googled public speaking. And this weird name kept coming. It kept saying Toastmasters. I thought it was about making cheese toasts, so I didn't click on it. And when it kept coming, I ended up clicking on it, and oh my God, it had nothing to do with cheese sandwiches. The world that opened to my eyes caught me off guard. I went to my first club visit and I joined a club here in Sydney, Australia. I then, the next month, joined another club. And before I knew it, I was a member of 5 different clubs in 6 months. That's how much I loved it. And you know, in my first meeting in Toastmasters, I saw some great speakers. Someone spoke for a whole minute on a random question that was given to them. Impromptu. Can you believe it? And another person spoke for 7 minutes without missing a beat. I was like, whoa, I just delivered the worst wedding speech in the whole world. And look at them. They were confident. I was in awe. I wanted to be like them. And that's how I discovered the first self-leadership lesson. To be like them. I watched every YouTube video of the World Championship of Public Speaking and any speaker I could. And I started speaking like famous speakers. I would copy their tone of voice. I would copy their gesture, and I would copy their mannerism. I very quickly learned that I look very, very stupid, and that I have failed. It wasn't me. That's not how I speak or move. It was not me, the true me. I discovered that self-leadership, setting a goal and achieving it, is not speaking like someone else, but speaking like yourself, with your own voice, with your own gestures, with your own confidence, speaking about messages that matter to you, being authentic and being you, the real you, the true you. Being comfortable with who you are makes you authentic and connect you as a speaker and leader to the rest of the world. And that is the first self-leadership lesson. Be you, the true you. But how can I be me when for so long I was an introvert and so shy? You know what I mean, right? But this is where the magic of Toastmasters take place. And I stumble across the second self-leadership lesson. The importance of mentors. Now, let me tell you a secret. Just like in life, becoming a better leader or speaker, you can't do this alone. Getting out of your shell and being comfortable expressing yourself as you are is a team sport. Yes, it's a team sport. In our organization, we run one of the most greatest mentorship program in the world. It doesn't matter how new or advanced you are, you can always raise your hand and say, I need help. And it is incredible because someone will always help you. I know it myself. In last year's World Championship of Public Speaking semifinals, I nearly quit. 48 hours before the semifinals, I picked up my daughter. I felt a little puck in my back and I fell to the floor. I had a disc bulge in my back and I couldn't walk. 48 hours before the World Championship of Public Speaking semifinals. In the hospital at the emergency room, there was one thought in my head. Quit, quit, quit. You're never going to win. You can't walk. Quit. And I typed an email. Dear Mister, I am withdrawing from the competition. But before I send that email to the world headquarters, I sent it to my mentor. You see, I was ready to quit. I have failed in my self-leadership of overcoming incredible obstacle that was in front of me. How many times have you quit? My mentors straight away pushed me to ignore the contest and focus on the message. One of them in particular said, if you have to sit on a chair and not move, and you will lose the contest, but you deliver a message that is important to you, that is worth more than any win. Without my mentors, I would have quit. My mentors corrected my path and put me back on the journey to success. Thanks to them, I shared a message that was very important to me with the world. If I didn't have my support group to pick me up when the obstacle looked too high, I would have quit and never become the second in the world championship of public speaking. My friends, find your tribe. You are stronger together. Toastmasters is full with clubs and people who will be happy to help you, to be your mentors. Reach out, embrace them, create a circle of confidence around you and get their feedback. Also give them feedback. That feedback is worth more than gold because it will help you be you. The second self-leadership lesson is to create a circle of mentors around you. Be a mentee and mentor to others. Your mentors will lift you to be the leader, to be the speaker, and to be the person that you can become. Okay, so now I have a circle of confidence around me, people I trust. Now what? How does it help me grow? Well, that leads me to the third self-leadership lessons. Are you ready? Here it is. The third self-leadership lesson is this. Fail. Fail more. And when you think you had enough, fail often. And when you absolutely think that no more failure, fail bigger. And then fail some more. Fail, fail, fail. Last year, I became the first runner-up in the World Championship of Public Speaking. But do you want to know the truth? And the first time I competed, I went to my first club and I failed. I went to my second club and I failed. I then went to my third club and I failed. And then I thought, 4-time lucky. I went to the fourth contest and I failed. Only in the fifth club that I competed have I ever won a contest. But the secret was this. Even though I wanted to quit, after every failure, my mentors gave me feedback. They encouraged me and helped me grow. The lesson for me was that your relationship with failure will help you grow. To be successful, you must fail. Because if you fail, it means that you're pushing the boundaries to the edge. It means that you are growing. And every growth, yes, include pain. There is no other way but to embrace failure. A leader is not measured by how many battles that leader wins, but by how that leader stands up after each loss to conquer the next battle. This is your growth as a speaker and leader. Don't be shy of experimenting, trying new things, pushing the boundaries. Yes, you may fail, but you are growing in a safe environment where you get feedback. If you stay within your boundaries and do not embrace failure, you will never grow. You will never succeed. Growing as a speaker and leader means you will fail along the way. Embrace failure. With every failure, you become more successful. Grow from it. Embracing failure, that is the third self-leadership lesson. Now, I want to share with you a bonus self-leadership lesson. And I came through that bonus self-leadership lesson throughout my journey. And it is perhaps the most important one I'm going to share with you today. And it is this. The more you give, the more you receive. The more you give, the more you receive. In the same way, others will help you in your self-development and self-leadership. Help others with theirs. Mentor others. Help wherever you can. Give back to the organization and people that help shape your true self. That is the greatest self-leadership lesson. So, what self-leadership lessons have I learned in my journey to success? Self-leadership lesson number 1. Be authentic and be the true you always. Self-leadership lesson number 2. Mentors. Find your tribe. They will correct your path when you are lost and when you want to quit. Mentor others. You cannot do this alone. Third self-leadership lesson. Embracing failure. By learning from failure, you will grow. Accept and invite failure. And the bonus 4th self-leadership lesson, the most important one, give back. The more you give, the more you shall receive. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Nitay-Yair Levi. Thank you so much for amazing and inspiring speech. First of all, we would like to thank in Australia is middle of the night. So for being here, it is very important for all of us. I want to kindly ask the first question because it is sometimes difficult. When you prepare your speech, how do you analyze your speech? Because you told us very nice story, your wedding ceremony, your membership 5 clubs. How do you develop while you are writing, including your world championship speech might be, or next week in your clubs maybe? Stage is yours, dear Nitay.
Thank you very much. For me, the answer is very simple, and it took me a while to get to that answer, but today it's simple. Record yourself. I do the speech and I record myself. And then I watch the speech and then I correct it and then I record it again. And every time I deliver the speech, practice or not, I record it. And in the early days, when I used to record myself, I felt very funny watching myself speak. Raise your hand if you feel funny when you watch yourself speak, right? It feels a bit awkward, right, to watch yourself speak. But then someone told me, if I have to watch you speak, why can't you watch you speak? So I said, that's a good point. Record yourself, record yourself, record yourself, record yourself. That's the best way to improve, in my humble opinion.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Now I can ask the questions that I received. We are getting curious about, you said that finding your own way is so important. How did you find your own way? Do you have any advices about finding your way who lost their ways?
It's a very interesting question. And I am the first sinner in not finding my way immediately. And I'm still on a journey to find the true me. For about 25 years, I never expressed my artistic desires in terms of art. And only thanks to Toastmasters have I discovered that part again and pursued that path for myself. But that was a journey and still is a journey. And it will be small steps at a time. It's all about building confidence in what you do. And most of the time, when you try something new, you will get criticized. And that's why it was very important to me to emphasize, when you have self-leadership, is accepting failure. Explore who you are. You may not like it. Then you change the course and you pursue that path too. And you may not like it, and that's okay. And you change the course and you keep finding who you are until one day you wake up and you say, I like this. That's how you know that you're on the right path. It's an internal feeling, but it will be a journey. I'm not still there 100%, but I'm definitely pursuing it with everything I've got now. I would encourage all of you to take small steps to build your confidence and do what you love. If you like to paint, paint. If you like to dance, dance. If you like to grow flowers, grow flowers. Society may look at you and say, what are you doing? But if that's what you love, do it. Back to you, Madam Toast.
Having me and being able to share in this event. It's really an honor to be here with you. And we're running just on time, so I'm going to keep it very short and introduce directly our next speaker, which is Eliana Caserio. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, Eliana. And she is very involved with Toastmasters. She was awarded the second place of the International Speech Contest at the District Contest, District 109, recently. And she's also very involved with TEDx. And she's fascinated by language and passionate about communication. and she believes that every person has a unique message to give, and I believe that is what her speech is going to be about tonight. Her speech is called The Art of Becoming Yourself. So with your applause, I would now like to give the stage to Eliane.
Hello, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a true pleasure. So, the art of becoming yourself, but starting from a word, who is a leader? So take a moment to think about it and write it in the chat, your definition of leader. So you can write one word or more. The less number of words, the better. So let's do that. Let's start with sharing your ideas about who is a leader. Okay, honesty, taking the responsibility. Okay, thank you. Brave, vision, taking care. Okay, very beautiful words and perspective and point of views. Having emotional intelligence. Mission, impressive. Okay, inspiring. Very nice. Okay, service. Okay, so thank you for sharing your words. Good public speaker, okay, making tactics plan. Okay, so you can continue on think about it and finding something that resonates with you. So a leader is someone that can be a mentor, a good listener, someone saying, is a guide. It's something, as you said, that can inspire us, that has helping and inspiring others, that's right, who help us, who has a vision and help us in achieving our goals sometimes. Someone that also has empathy, emotional intelligence, and someone that is, teamwork, someone is saying, okay. And also someone that is able to do a step back to see things in perspective. So, is a leader a superhero, someone that has superpowers? Well, in a certain perspective, is a superhero, but it's easier to recognize the characteristics of a leader when we talk about someone else. Someone that has external characteristics, so which is not us. So my second question is, do you feel like a leader? Or better, actually, do you feel like the leader of yourself? So let me see your virtual hands. I put you in a gallery view. Okay, someone is, okay. So for some of you, you feel like you are a leader, and for someone it's not so easier. So this is a good thing. We can work on something. But so for many people, it's not always so easy to recognize their self as a leader, to see themselves and to start doing something different, because we are human. Charles Mans, which is the creator of this concept of self-leadership, said that is a comprehensive self-influence perspective that concerns leading oneself. And there are many skills that we can improve. So there is self-awareness, self-compassion, motivation, decision-making, dedication, influence, empathy, as we've seen before talking about a leader, social skill, self-regulation, accountability. So there are many, many skills. And So self-leadership. Okay, someone said, I feel a leader. Okay, good. In self-leadership, there is someone who leads and someone who follow. And we are the same person. We have to follow ourselves. So we may say that self-leadership is the ability to follow ourselves. So we know the theory, and some of you say it already feels like a leader, but which is the starting point? And as we've seen, this is the definition of Charles Mantz, but the skills we've seen, and as Aristotle said, the philosopher said that knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. So the starting point can be our awareness, our self-comprehension. But how do well we know ourselves? How do we describe ourselves? How do we talk with ourselves? What are the words that we use often? So take a moment to think about it, to think about the words or the thoughts you use more to describe yourself. And you can do this as an exercise, not now because we don't have enough time, but you can do this later. So give yourself 15 minutes and write down all the words and the thoughts you have about yourself. How do you describe yourself? And after that, so you can write it on your notebook, on your phone, on your computer, and then read your words and your thoughts. And think about it. Are these words the words that really describe me, or do I need other words? For example, read your words to recognize if there are some maybe limiting beliefs or not, beliefs of other people that are not yours. Because sometimes there are cultural constraints, there is education, family, and limiting beliefs we may discover. So this awareness is the starting point to have a different language, a different way to talk with ourselves. And to lead ourselves, we have to motivate ourselves. This is the main point. So to motivate and to guide others, to be a leader, we have to start with ourselves. We have to motivate ourselves, even if no one else is doing that. And then our question is, how can you be sure you are truly yourself? A good way to do that is making experiments. Experiment yourself in new ways. When I was younger, I was obsessed with doing all the things right. And I followed just the external rules. And of course, I wasn't happy. I wasn't expressing myself. And now, today, I would like to share with you 3 main ingredients of my personal recipe of self-leadership. Of course, this is not the recipe, it's one of the recipe. So starting from creativity. What is creativity? Creativity is the ability to produce or to use your original ideas or unusual ideas. But someone may think, Eliana, I'm not a creative person. But my question is, are you sure? Are you sure you are not creative? Because creativity is something human. When we create something, we are alive. So we are creative because we are alive. Creativity is, for example, when you do something in a different way. Creativity is when you play with your kids, if you have kids. Or creativity is when you feel wonder for life. So it's not just about creating the biggest idea of the century. It's something smaller, it's something achievable. So think about it. In your life, there is something you want to see in a different way. So it can be a process, a thing you do, something you want to see in a different way. And also something that you would like to say in a different way. So the act of creating is more important than the result. Sometimes we are too focused on what we are creating and we forget about the process of doing something, of experiment something. And I would like you to do a short exercise. So take 1 minute now and think about what can you do to enhance your creativity. Think about 3 small actions that you can do starting from tonight, from now. Think about 3 small actions that you can do to be more creative in your life. And as I said before, it hasn't have to be the biggest idea of the century, but just something that is achievable for you. For example, I want to do something new from tomorrow. I don't want to take the same road as the usual one. I want to speak to people that I don't know. Okay, so think about it. And you can write it down on your notebook, on your phone, on your computer. Okay, someone is writing in the chat. So if you like, you can share it on the chat as well. I would take a vacation to an inspirational place. Wow, it's a really creative activity. Very nice. We can automate trying new things. Good. Okay, so let's move forward. Oh, I want to write diary. Oh, okay, very nice. Write is something like free writing. We can free write. Even if we are not writers, we can of course write something, our thoughts. Surrounded by creative people. Yes, we can choose creative people around us. Go with a can-do activity and out action in place. Speak realistically and whenever possible. Enhance the inner beliefs. Okay, love to write. Last 2 minutes for the speech, okay? Thank you. Okay, be curious. So let's move forward. The second word is energy. Energy, because we live in a world where we often don't have time for ourselves to recharge the battery. So when was the last time you did nothing? And when I say nothing, I mean nothing. So just relaxing, breathing, lazing. So again, do this at home. Think about it. How can you enhance your energy? And the third keyword is focus. So focus is the main point of something, is the main point of our attention. So where do we put our attention? Where is our focus today? And getting back to you. So how can we use creativity? How can we use our energy? How can we use our focus to be self-leader? So my invite to you is to create your own recipe. Find your own ingredients for your leadership recipe. Because self-leadership at its core is the constant process of discovering your potential, is experimenting your potential and practice it. Becoming more human, and sometimes it's coming home. As Young said, is the privilege of a lifetime to become who you truly are. And an acronym that we can use is ART, A-R-T, is the act of researching your talents. So in the end, be the leader of your life and be the artist of your life so that you can lead yourself and you can lead others. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eliana. That was very inspirational. And I took those three. I have my 3 words. I will keep them. And by the way, that's exactly the reason that I like Toastmasters so much. And I keep coming to the club meetings and I keep coming to these type of meetings, because you never know. You hear someone and you didn't expect it, and they inspire you, and it can change your entire life. Just attending a meeting at Toastmasters, it's really incredible. So Eliana, thank you very much. And Nitay, also, it was really wonderful, and I'm very grateful that I got to listen to both of you. Now I would like to ask everyone to turn on their camera. Of course, if you don't want to, keep your camera off, because we'd like to take a picture together with Eliana, so we can have this in our memory book. So everyone, I guess we have a media master who's going to take a picture now.
Ready, everyone? 3, 2, 1. Thanks.
Thank you, Mustafa. And Tuana, we are running a little bit over time. Will we have a question and answer session for Eliana now?
If you have any questions, you can write to me from chat box. Also, if we don't have enough time, we can send the questions to Eliana if she accepts and answer it.
Thank you, David. By the way, I come to you from a beautiful city, and I would like to share a quick view of the city with you. You're looking at Mesopotamia, and I'm currently at Mardin. And yes, I made a promise, so here I am talking to you about leadership. Now, what do I know about leadership? Not much, really. I'm not a professor of strategy. I'm not a professor of organizational behavior. I'm just an engineer. I was thrust on the stage, basically, to act as a leader. And when I was asked to be a president of a university, and I learned by doing. I read books. And then I reflected on what I was doing. And that's basically how you become a leader. You learn from others. You watch talks, you read books, you reflect on what you do, and you accept feedback from others. Now, these are some of the attributes that you don't get to see much in Turkey. Our leaders don't take feedback. They don't apologize. They don't ask others how they make them feel. So I think we are actually a leader-poor country. We don't have much leadership in Turkey. The way the way most Westerners, North American literature would define leadership. We are quite barren in terms of leadership. Let me just start by asking you who you think is a leader. I'm watching the chat. People must have asked you this question many times before. Nobody's talking to me? Okay.
Chat
just-
is disabled. I'm sorry. Chat
Chat
is
is disabled. Okay. Okay.
Can someone else correct?
Okay. All right, fine. I'll just speak from experience, okay? When I ask Turkish students who a leader is, name a person who's a leader, okay? You are describing attributes of leaders. I wanted you to give me a name, okay? Give me an example. In Turkey, guess what the most popular example is? Atatürk, of course, okay? Yet, when I ask students to come up with more examples, the names I get are Martin Luther King, Gandhi, even Hitler, Caesar. There's this obsession with politics and military, I notice. Turkish students don't think of others as leaders. I find this rather sickening, and it's totally unnatural. So I start by questioning them as to what good leaders do. I go on this pseudo lecture, if you like, and I tell them that good leaders are intelligent. People they start shaking heads. Yeah, intelligent. They speak well. In fact, one of you said that just a few minutes ago. They speak well. Yeah, they're charismatic. They're good speech makers. They command. They tell people what to do. They have answers. They have answers to all the difficult questions of life. And they make decisions. And then people still, continue shaking their heads. And they're born with a gift. You got to be born to be a leader. I'm sorry, if you're not born to be a leader, you might try being a follower, and then they become legends. So after I get the whole class shaking their heads, I'm saying this is all nonsense. This has nothing to do with leadership. This is your perturbed view of leadership. Leaders are actually quite the opposite. They're not necessarily intelligent, but they are emotionally intelligent. They're socially intelligent. They may or may not speak well. If they speak well, okay, that's all right, that's good. But it's much more important that they're active listeners. And they shouldn't really command. They should focus on serving their flock. And they really shouldn't have answers either. At this point, the class goes, whoa. Well, they should just ask good questions. They should coordinate the decision-making process. And then they shouldn't even make the decision. They should, they should ask good questions, and then they should allow the followers to sort of gyrate to what they think is the correct decision. They're certainly not born with a gift. If they're born with a gift, it's a gift of being a continuous learner, okay? I really hate this notion of, oh, you have to be born as an artist. You have to be born to be a successful entrepreneur. You have to be born to be a good leader. That is so unpowering. We need to empower people. We need to tell them that they can become anything they want if they try hard enough. And for that, it's actually rather simple. They have to read books, okay? They have to be educated. They have to educate themselves. And the goal is not to become a legend. It's to leave a legacy. At this point, the class is, of course, speechless. They go, what? That is not our concept of a leader. Well, maybe it should be, because that's how the literature defines good leaders. And in fact, I would not want to work for a leader that is described on the left-hand side with the stop sign over it. I would much rather work for a leader that is on the right-hand side. And if people tell you that I'm a good leader, it's because I try very hard to be on the right-hand side as opposed to on the left-hand side. Conscientiously, I try to shut up and listen. I keep myself from
making decisions so people feel empowered that they can make decisions. And I try to convey to them that I'm there to serve them, not to lead them to the promised land. And they kind of like that. They call me a Western style leader. I don't really believe in this Western style, Eastern style. People are the same, okay? People appreciate kindness. They appreciate being listened to. They appreciate empathy. We don't want people who are going to slam their fist on the table and tell us what to do. No more, please, and thank you. Now, there is also this Blanchard's situational leadership model, but I won't get into this. All I want to say about this model is that if you ask two people who are led by the same leader what kind of leader this person is, they might give you different answers if the leader is actually doing a good job, because being a leader is a relationship, and it depends on who you are relating to. It depends on how much direction and how much support the person you are trying to lead needs from you. So sometimes you need to be very directive, very supportive. Sometimes you just need to give people initiative. It depends on their abilities, their background, your trust in them, and their vision. So there is no such thing as one leadership style. It's really dynamic. Now, what you need to do to be a leader, first of all, I mean, it's pure luck that today's topic is leading yourself. But if you can't lead yourself, you can't lead anybody else. No one will trust you. What people find quite unbelievable is that position, title, or power, or authority, whether it's institutional or authority that you gain yourself, simply do not matter in leadership. We should stop looking for people with stripes on their shoulders to call them leaders. You can have leaders at every age, in every gender, in every profession, in every organization. We need to basically broaden our definition of leadership. Okay, my leader for a long time was my mom. Okay, then my primary leader became my elementary school teacher. In high school, I had a role model. One of my friends was my leader. And we have to allow for a much broader definition of leadership, which includes family members, teachers, coaches. In fact, in a survey of 18 to 30-year-olds, 40% of the time they name a family member as a leader. In Turkey, this never happened to me before, okay? No one said my uncle is my leader. Yet their uncle has much more impact on their lives than the leaders that they mention, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and so on. 26% of them called a teacher or a coach their mentor. 11% called a community leader or a religious leader their mentor. Only 7% called a business leader their leader. Only 4% a politician. I'm really happy to see low numbers like this for politicians, because I think politicians lack a very essential piece for leadership, which I'm going to get to next. The foundation of leadership is credibility, folks. You need to be credible. It's a relationship between somebody who either aspires to lead or in a position to lead, and those who choose to follow, okay? The important word here is to choose to follow, okay? Now, if you are an appointed director in a Turkish high school, müdür, okay? You're not necessarily a leader, and people are not necessarily following you. They're simply following your orders because it's their job, okay? That is not a leadership relationship. To have a leadership relationship, you need to have people who are willfully choosing to follow you because they believe in your vision, they believe in your values, they believe that you can take them to a place where they cannot go on their own. So this brings us to a very important question. What are the expectations of the constituents, of those who are meant to follow, the flock, in other words? I'm not gonna talk about I believe, okay? An academic should not just talk about what he or she believes in. We should talk about things from the literature, okay? We should talk about things that have been established by others, okay? So this is no sence bence here, okay? I'm gonna share with you the results of tens of thousands of surveys on 6 continents over 30 years, okay? So longitudinal study. People have been asked to select 7 of the following 20 characteristics. I'm gonna show you the 20 characteristics, and I'm gonna sort of ask you to mentally choose or record, if you like, on a piece of paper, the 7 that you think are most important in an admirable leader, okay? Can you show you 20? We'll ask you to choose 7, and I'll give you maybe a couple of minutes to do that.
Erhan, could you share with us the slide with the 20 terms? We can't see that.
What do you mean? You can't see my slides?
No.
Oh. I thought I was sharing all along.
Now it's
You can
okay,
see.
thank you.
And up to now, you just listened to me. You're a wonderful audience, thank you. Ali Erdem actually warned me.
Actually, at the beginning, you shared your slide and then it disappeared.
It shouldn't have. I don't know what happened. I didn't do anything. Anyway, this is the first one that really needs to be shared. So I'll give you another minute then. This is a takeaway, folks. If you pay attention and if you take some notes, you can actually identify areas for improvement. You're supposed to choose 7 of the 20, sir. All right, just so you know, we had slides before. I can show you this. I can actually share the slides with Meltem, and then she can show it to, send it to anyone who's interested. Okay, so this is, I think, is an important moment in the presentation where I'm going to show you the results of tens of thousands of surveys. Now, please keep in mind that every 20 of these characteristics are important and useful and positive, okay? We're not dissing any, we're not disrespecting any. I'm just going to tell you the most important 4, by far and away the most important 4, okay? There you go, the first 4. Look at the frequency of selection by the respondents. Honesty is 85%, forward-looking is 70%, inspiring is 69%, competent is 64%. Next, intelligent, only 42%. Huge drop, okay, 22-point drop. Everything else is below that, okay. Independent, only 6% of the people chose it. Mature, only 16%. Why do you need a mature leader? You want a dad? Now, why are these 4 absolutely important? So let me talk about each one for a minute or so. You know, honesty, I think, is by far the most important, which is where all the politicians lose out, okay? So I'm sorry, if you think that a Turkish politician is a leader, you're dead wrong, because they're not honest. A politician, by definition, cannot be honest. They reserve the right to change their minds. They have no ethical principles. They have no clear standards. Dün dündür, bugün bugündür, right? And I certainly don't think they have solid character and integrity. That is, if you display, if you're not telling the truth, if people realize that your ethical standards are shaky, you can't be a leader in a civilized, educated country, okay? That is absolutely the first most important attribute. Then you need to have some vision. But not only do you need to have vision, you need to connect the vision to the hopes and the dreams and the aspirations of the people you wish to lead. So there needs to be a connection between your vision and their hopes. Then, of course, you need to inspire. You need to generate some energy and enthusiasm. For that, you need to be genuine. Okay, that's sort of connected to honesty. You need to be positive. You need to be upbeat. You need to be passionate, and you need to display the passion every chance you have. And, you know, some people might put this as number 1, but you need to be competent. You need to know what the heck you're doing. You need to have an idea about the business you're in. I mean, for me, starting a university, yeah, I was competent. I had served for 20 years in a North American business school. I had written 60 papers. I had won 10 teaching awards. I had started a journal. I had started a center of excellence. So teaching, research, service, I had done it all. And I also had some ideas about how to manage the whole process. So you need to have a good track record. You need to have your certain skill set and abilities. But maybe more importantly, you need to have a desire to learn. And of course, to quote Alvin Toffler, to unlearn and to relearn. Now, when you put these 4 together, okay, it doesn't terribly matter that you are intelligent. I don't even think you need to be intelligent. You could just have average intelligence. If you combine these 4, you become credible and you become worthy of following. People who don't trust the messenger, they will not listen to the message. So this result has not changed over 30 years, okay? Over 30 years, a lot has happened, okay? World wars, well, not quite world wars, but significant wars, recessions, globalization, internet came in, surge in technology. But this result, that honesty, forward-looking, inspiring, and competent being the most important 4 attributes, has not changed. So if you wish to improve your leadership skills, this is where you need to look. If you want to assess someone for leadership, this is where you need to look. Now, I have actually summarized this from a beautiful book by The Truth About Leadership, and I'll give you a few more passages from the book if you like. Chapter 3 talks about values driving commitment. So you really need to know yourself, and there needs to be a connection between your values and the values of the organization you wish to lead. For example, I'll try to give examples from myself. I could never be the president of a commercial for-profit university because it simply conflicts with my basic principal values. And I've been saying that for years. If I turn around and all of a sudden become the president of a ticari, commercial higher education institution, people will say, well, he's not honest. That's it, game over. You need to focus on future. So you need to spend at least an hour a day on time travel. You need to think deep thoughts. You cannot always be fighting fires. You need to be the person who is thinking about 10+ years into the future for the organization. You certainly can't do it alone. You know, I see some people who try to work very hard to show off as, okay, you are basically the emotional leader of the group. You need to do it as a team. Anything that you do, you get credit. The group doesn't get credit. The organization doesn't get credit for it. Something that I find increasingly important, trust is everything. If people don't trust each other, they will not take risks. If they don't take risks, they will not take initiative, and then there won't be creativity. Okay, I see this in Yetken. We are removing discrimination from Yetken. You cannot have negative language towards women or sexual orientation or religion or race or what have you. In Turkey, it's very common that people talk down because of gender or sexual orientation, or Kürt, Sunni, Alevi, Shia. That talk is forbidden in Yetken, and that creates an atmosphere of trust, which allows people to work together. So if you think Turkish students are not good team workers, you're actually right. But I'm telling you, I found the cure is trust. You need to challenge yourself and the organization for greatness, and you need not be afraid of failure. Failure is a great teacher, as long as you are able to learn from the failure. People like challenges. You need to lead by example. For example, when my university was going through tough financial times, I couldn't just keep driving the same car and tell everyone that we needed to save money here and there. If people need to suffer because of economic conditions, you need to be the first one to suffer. So I actually sold my Volvo and bought a Ford, sold it for 80,000 euros, bought a car for 80,000 liras. That's when euro was only about 1.7 or something. So I took a big drop. See, in Turkey, for example, we say, nereden tasarruf olmazdı? İtibardan tasarruf olmaz. That's such nonsense, okay? If the country is in economic hardship, you need to suffer along with us. You cannot have the same life and expect us to suffer, and then expect us to consider you to be a leader. You also need to apologize when you make a mistake. Something I noticed in Turkey, nobody apologizes. That's disgusting. I mean, I don't want to live in a culture where nobody apologizes. Does no one make mistakes? Of course, people make mistakes, but they don't apologize. If you are a true leader, you need to apologize, because that makes you human. That brings you down from your throne and makes you more like them, your followers, and then they follow you. You need to actually learn all the time. You can't say, for example, there's a beautiful quote from Fatih Terim, biz ders almayız, biz ders veririz. Nonsense, you're not a leader. I dismiss you immediately if you tell me that you're not ever going to learn. It's all about continuous learning. You need to use other people's feedback. You need to use reading. You need to self-evaluate, ask yourself what you could have done better, and improve. And maybe most importantly, the leadership is not something technical. It's really an affair of the heart. Love is a prerequisite for performance. People need to see your passion. They need to realize that you actually love what you do, that you love your profession, that you love the organization, and you want to work with them to make the world a better place for everybody. Then they start following you. This is what I've learned from my own experience. And when I see this thing written in books like so, I go, wow, so I did some things right. And then, of course, something's wrong. I learn from them. How about you? Well, I think all of you are leaders. You need to first accept that. Don't just listen to me as an example of a leader, but you also need to accept that you can be a better leader, and you need to constantly work very hard to try to improve yourself. I mean, I still ask 20-year-olds about what they think about my presentation, what they think about my decision, what they think about my budgeting. Without that feedback mechanism, you risk painting yourself into a corner where you're simply deaf to your own failure. And that's terrible. Again, the book is called The Truth About Leadership. It's by Kouzes and Postner. I have a 2010 copy. They might have written another one. There's thousands of books on leadership. There's a huge market for it. I have maybe 3 or 4. I think I find that plenty, because you don't just learn from the book. You learn through reflecting your experiences to what you read in the book, and back and forth. Okay. So my name is Erhan Erkut, also known as Professor Erkut. I'm a vice rector at MEF University. You can follow me on Medium. You can follow me on my blog. You can follow me on Twitter. And if you want me to come and talk to your organization, I won't. I don't have time. I'm sorry. I do a lot of things, and I've done this as a favor to Toastmasters. Why, you might ask? Because I started giving life skills training at the University of Alberta when I was teaching Introduction to Business. The dean asked me to teach Introduction to Business. And I thought, well, we need to teach them skills. One of the skills is presentation skills. And how do I teach them presentation skills? I called up the local Toastmasters club. That's how my paths crossed with Toastmasters. And then the president came in and did a presentation for a couple of years. And then I picked up some good notes from her, and I started doing the presentations myself from that point on. And I encourage my students, I do teach presentation skills, of course, in Yetken, and I encourage my students to form their own local Toastmasters club. And they always say they will, but they never have. It might have something to do with costs. Maybe you can have student memberships or what have you. I think Toastmasters serves a good purpose. And thank you for inviting me, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Thank you very much, Erhan. It was very inspiring to listen to you. And I want to add something, because I was a bit surprised that honesty was #1. I thought it would be in the top 5, but I didn't think it was #1 based on the fact with the politicians. But I think it's very important if we want to be a leader, or forget being a leader. I think it's very important if we want to become a better individual. The first thing to do is to be honest with ourselves. So
David,
thank you very much.
David, our life partners, our wives, our husbands expect us to be honest. Yes,
yes.
Everyone
Yes.
expects us to be honest. That's really rule #1 in any relationship.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And let's take a picture. So everyone, please open your camera. Of course, if you don't want your picture taken, just turn your camera off. and then our media master is going to take a group picture of us.
That's my
Everyone?
Yetken greeting.
Anything? Oh, thanks. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, Mustafa. Okay, so we're a little bit over time. We had planned a 10-minute break, so let's just make it short. Let's take a 5-minute